Well, promoter Eddie Hearn, here we go again. Straight off the plane from New York, I believe, straight in to Riyadh and on a run. I don't know what.
2 sessions.
Don't know what's happened to you, to be honest.
So, no, what a freak.
Straight into a big week. The question is, when these weeks roll around, how do your nerves tend to compare to any other fighter when AJ's in town?
I mean, this fight's a bit different because there's nerves and then there's just the unknown. And I think that's the most compelling thing about this fight. And Ngannou going into the Fury fight, I mean, I was one of the most vocal to say he can't win. Like, it's a mismatch. You can't just stroll into elite level boxing, having never had a professional fight, and beat the #1 heavyweight in the world. I thought he beat him. And if he didn't, it was a draw or he lost by a round. He dropped Tyson Fury. So you know the guy's for real. But then you start thinking about, was it a fluke? You know, did Fury underestimate him? Or is Ngannou really that good? And now how good's he going to be going into this fight? Because if he believed before the Fury fight, now he's really going to believe. And it's just the mentality of the man that worries you, you know?
Just doesn't care, he's so relaxed.
No fear. And he should have fear. He should be petrified. Yeah. But he's not, and that worries me, you know? I've got to say, AJ continues to look sensational. You know, coming through that Warrington fight, teaming up with Ben, just looked really, really good, really confident. It's just the breaking down of Ngannou as an opponent, which is the tricky thing. You know, you've now got 10 rounds of footage, which you didn't have before. But that's about it.
For AJ, how much do you put that recent form down to how active he's been able to get? Because obviously it got to a point, didn't it, really, where it was one fight a year. How much do you put that down to the confidence level you've seen through the activity?
I think it's a bit of both. I think, you know, it's the work that Derek James did. He's teaming up with Ben and Lee Wiley, giving him that confidence and belief. I've always said, if AJ understands the game plan, he will execute it and he could be unbeatable. And that's what happened in the Warrington fight. He just understood what he had to do. You know, Warrington was a tricky southpaw who he demolished. It was a mismatch. It's a fantastic performance. And again, in this fight, AJ will understand the game plan and he will execute it. In the heavyweight division, there's still the danger of that one shot, that freak exchange that can turn a fight. But the activity has been key, no doubt. You know, this is his 4th fight in 11 months. And it's actually a lesson to all elite, big-name fighters. You look at those guys and, you know, Terence Crawford, Errol Spence, Deontay Wilder, probably the best example. Inactivity will kill your career. It will kill your profile. And sometimes you have to take small money to stay active. Like AJ took tiny money in comparison to what he's ever made to fight Jermaine Franklin and again fight Robert Helenius. But look what it's done. It rolled him into that big fight in Saudi, this massive fight against Ngannou, 1 fight away from a shot undisputed. He's in a brilliant position and he just must win on Saturday night.
Do you think brilliant position, but also in an immense position of pressure, as he always is? Because it's almost like, you know, everyone's expecting him really to blow Ngannou away.
You mustn't worry about what people think. Just focus on yourself, right? It's you v you. And he spent too long in the past trying to get the admiration and respect of his peers in boxing. It just doesn't work like that. You know, people have vicious minds, people have, you know, jealous egos, and you're never going to keep everybody happy. Look at what he's achieved. You know, I saw his interview the other day where he was talking about he was a bricklayer making 70 quid a day. He's the 2-time unified heavyweight world champion that's changed the face of British boxing, left a legacy well beyond the belts that he's won. One of the nicest blokes you could ever meet. He's made an absolute fortune. Life's pretty good. And I think now it's all about himself. It's about focusing on himself. And the pressure's always there, especially in this fight. You lose to Ngannou. You know, you heard Johnny Nelson and those guys. Oh, you know, your legacy's in tatters. No, it's not. But you never want to lose to a guy who's 0-1, despite the fact that he's UFC heavyweight world champion. AJ should be beating this guy. There's jeopardy in the fight. We know that. Ngannou's big. He's strong. But we got to just do a job on Saturday night. As I said, the landlord has arrived to collect his rent. That's the mentality of Saturday night. No messing around, go in, do your job and move on.
I asked him yesterday, it's probably a lot of people are going to, there's always comparisons at the top level. Does he want to do what Fury couldn't? Is there incentive? He played that down, but you think deep down he's looking to get this done inside the distance?
No, I think it's always a bonus. You know, the first thing is win by any means necessary. You saw in the Wilding fight, everyone was comparing, talking about the Fury fight. Wilding could have won the Fury fight. The fight could have been stopped. It was tricky. It was, and AJ demolished him. It was a mismatch. Good. Box tick. That's a bonus. Look, we're chasing undisputed. We have been for, 7 or 8 years. We have been since he first laced up the gloves as a pro. We have been told by His Excellency that if we win this fight, we will land a shot undisputed. So that's all we got to do is get through this fight. Now, if you can make a statement, if you can stop him, if you can do what Fury was nowhere near doing, then of course the momentum continues and that fight gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But Fury's still got to do his job against Usyk, and that's certainly not a given.
I was in the hallway yesterday when we were doing the media day and the arrival interviews, and John Fury was there, obviously with Roman Fury who's on the card. And I heard AJ coming around the corner, just got the phone out, started filming, and captured what actually was quite a wholesome exchange. What did you make of that?
Yeah, look, John says a lot, doesn't he? I mean, we'll see what he does when he sees me. Hopefully he gives me a hug as well. But I think a lot of it is bravado. A lot of it is, stuff said in the moment. I think deep down, John, being an ex-fighter, like, you can't not have respect for AJ. You can say this and you can say that, and he's a bodybuilder, and but he's a fine young man. And we're all working in the sport of boxing. We all share one passion, boxing. So we all have that similarity of we love the sport. We all want to achieve. We want to see people achieve close to us. Sometimes you can say something that, is based off emotion, might rub someone up the wrong way. But face to face, it's generally a little bit different, unless you see a Catchall Taylor or something like that where it just spills over. But, generally, you don't really see these people that often, like face to face. So when you do, it's almost like, oh, it's you, rather than I've been looking for you, and I think when we're all around each other, generally we get on. It's a bit like me and Frank.
Frank, yeah.
All of a sudden we go out for dinner and we're both sort of looking at each other going, you're all right, actually, and that's, I don't know if AJ and John are going to go out for dinner while they're here, but there is that respect of people who, obviously have shared the ring, but also have boxed and are part of a sport and love the sport of boxing.
Tyson Fury, you expect him to come up? Have you heard any developments?
Yeah, he's here. Okay. His brother's fighting on the card as well. Good, great for the event. I'm sure he can say what he wants about Fury and Ngannou. He'll be compelled by that fight. I think he might fancy Ngannou to do the business, and maybe a part of him doesn't want Josh to go in there and demolish him. But, I certainly think that Fury wasn't in the frame of mind or shape that he would be in for the Usyk fight. But he still really struggled, and will be looking to do much better. Do
you expect AJ to, say all goes well, to be ringside in May as well then? Do you expect that?
It's not really his style or his thing.
No.
Honestly, I think he might for that one. It's the undisputed heavyweight world championship. And there is part of him as well that, for the respect of the fight, I don't think he wants to, he's never really been one to go over there and start doing interviews and calling people out. Everyone knows we want the fight. He signed to fight Fury before. The fight fell through. No fault of our own. He signed to fight Wilder. The fight fell through. No fault of our own. So everyone knows he wants the fight. So I don't know, if he's invited and is part of the plan, then maybe.
I see an interview that Tyson did with our mate Charlie Parsons recently. Good luck to Charlie in his new venture, of course, but saying believes he wins inside 7 rounds. Has your opinion changed on that fight amidst the drama, the chaos, the postponement, as it's got closer?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I've always fancied Fury as the favourite in the fight. But, coming off the Ngannou fight, coming off the cut, there are parts of me that feels like Usyk could win the fight. But Fury, I'm sort of fed up with writing Fury off. I've done it probably 2 or 3 times. One against Vladimir Klitschko, once against Deontay Wilder in the first fight, probably in the second fight as well. Once certainly coming back from the condition that he was in physically. So I think he's someone who's a very determined character, and when his back's against the wall, you've seen the shape he's got himself in, and I'm sure he'll be in tremendous shape going into that fight. And I think the Ngannou fight might have been a blessing for him. sometimes you can get a little bit complacent. You need a rocket up your arse to say, hey, get your nut down here. Too many Netflix programs and, commercials and messing around. I got to win this undisputed heavyweight world championship. I want Fury to see, he does tell a few porkies. And one of the porkies that he tells is he don't care about the belts. He don't care about undisputed. I don't believe that. He's a bit of a boxing historian, Tyson Fury. Every time I've sat down with him, he knows a lot about a lot of fighters and he knows a lot about boxing. Undisputed will mean a lot to him. Beating AJ will mean a lot to him because if he beats Usyk and beats AJ, he is the GOAT of our generation. He's beaten everybody. So he will want that. He can say he doesn't, but he will. And I hope he's around for a long time.
You can only play your part, Ed, obviously, to a certain extent on the business side of things and promoting fights, of course. But you always talk about legacy. How important is it to you that when you're sitting in 20 years' time reflecting on your journey in boxing, that you were able to sit ringside and watch AJ Fury? Have you thought about how you might feel if you can't make it?
Legacy's for everyone, but real legacy is for those taking part. Do you know what I mean? Like, of course, I want to sit back and say we did this and we did this, and memories and moments probably mean a little bit more than legacy as a businessman. But as a fighter, legacy is belts, legacy is unifications, undisputed, legacy is being a great. So for me, it's just really about the moment. And my buzz comes off seeing people get opportunities to change their life. AJ's already done that, so our job's pretty much done with AJ outside of undisputed. And that's something we've wanted so bad for a long time. So, yeah, listen, to be the promoter or the co-promoter of the greatest fight of our generation, yeah, it's nice. But I want it for AJ. That would make me happier than me saying, oh, I promoted that fight. I want to be able to say, we got it and we won it. Because I don't want to get it and not win it. I want to get it and win it. And I want to, before he retires, I want to make sure, and he's got to do his job as well, and he has done in the past, I want to make sure he gets that shot at undisputed. Because if he can beat Ngannou and then beat Tyson Fury to be the undisputed champion, everything I just said about Tyson Fury applies to AJ. And that would be a sweet way to finish.
So big. In terms of this card as well, some good fights, great really chief support as well. I spoke to the Big Bang, Zhilei Zhang, yesterday, and he said, look, boxing, people who know their boxing understand what the true main event is. Can you understand where he's coming from that?
I mean, it's a good fight, yeah. But, main events are built around massive names, compelling storylines. I don't think you're going to get much bigger. To answer Zhilei Zhang's question, could Zhilei Zhang against Joseph Parker headline this card? No. So therefore, no. Sorry, Zhilei. But it's a really good fight. And Joseph Parker will win the fight. I really like Zhilei, worked with him for a long time. I think that the Joyce victories are slightly flattering because I think Joe's at the end of his run as a pro, and I don't think his punch resistance is there anymore. But they're two brilliant wins. I just think Joseph, who looks in tremendous shape,
he's flying.
I just think he'll be too fast for him, and I think he'll be in and out with speed. And Zhilei's not, he's not slow, but his feet and he's not that quick. And I think if Joe can get the game plan right with Andy, who you think is brilliant in that role, I think he wins.
And in terms of the 5v5, you're going to be asked about that all week. You've been asked about that ever since you and Frank shook hands on that top table, didn't you? But perhaps announcements soon? What is the latest?
I think there's part of His Excellency that doesn't want that to take away from overshadow, but to take away from what we've got this week.
Yep.
So we will be in meetings with George and Frank non-stop and His Excellency to finalise all the details. I think you'll get an announcement this week, probably Saturday, after the fight, regarding the weight classes. And then there'll be a press conference in London with all the fighters to bring them face to face. And, it's June the 1st is fast approaching. It's 13 weeks away, so still a long way to go. But there's a huge amount of excitement, and I've lost count of the amount of messages and DMs I've got from people saying, when's the 5v5 announcement? So hold on to your hats, not long at all.
There's so much to look forward to, but also looking back very recently. Ray Ford, a a special moment for you, your first homegrown fighter turning professional in the States to go on and win a world title. We always say, I think we spoke about it after Katie Taylor in the ring on DAZN, and I saw your post on Instagram. Why was that a special moment for you?
I go back to, for me, the motivation is changing people's lives. And, the business has to work for us, but I love to help people and I love to see them succeed, especially those that I'm fond of and especially those that, we've been on the journey with. So when I see Ray, who came into my office in New York as a 19-year-old, sort of looking down on the floor, with his family, as a promising amateur from Camden, New Jersey, and very humble beginnings. We talked about how good it would be to become a world champion, how good it would be to change his life, how good it would be to buy his own house and, pay for his parents' mortgage and, all the things that should be important to you. So when you go on that journey and then you finally realise that's happened, or certainly now it's about to happen, it's really rewarding. And it was just a brilliant moment. I mean, honestly, up there with, I was very close with Darren when he beat Gil, and Kel when he beat Sean Porter, and Crawler when he beat Darlis Perez, but that was right up there. I mean, especially with 7 seconds to go in the fight, where I felt that if he won the 12th, we'd have a shot, but we'd probably lose on points. To stop him there, and now to see what's ahead of the kid, and I don't think he really knows how his life's going to change. Obviously financially, it will change considerably, and that's really the most important thing. I want people to have belts on the wall and pictures of those great nights on the floor, but I also want people to be able to live a great life and also be able to support their kids with the right education and, to be able to support their family through boxing. Because you're really talking about, you're not even talking about the 1%ers. You're talking about the 0.1%ers that have done that. And it's a really, really tough sport. So when someone can make sure that it can give them that kind of life, it's really rewarding. And the fact that he was our first US signed world champion from debut to world championship was really special, because when we started in England, in the UK, people would always criticise us. So they don't know how to build a fighter, and then obviously, but when you start, when you're 3 or 4 years in, it's very difficult to build a fighter from the pro debut to the world championship in that space of time. So now you're seeing in America the Ray Fords, I think Diego Pacheco's, the Amo Williams, these kind of guys, they're going to be challenging for world titles. So bringing that crop through is really important, not just for us, but for the development of US boxing. And now American boxing has another superstar in Ray Ford, who is is a real American fighter, straight out of Camden, New Jersey, good amateur, boxed for the US team, and now a huge future ahead of him.
And I guess it's proof for you as well, isn't it, from a Matchroom perspective, that you can attract now. You always can attract fighters in the States, but now you can show the paths there.
Honestly, since that fight, I have had 300 DMs and emails from fighters. Some of them in the US team, some of them just, blue collar, all saying, seeing what you guys are doing, see what you've done with Ray, seeing what it meant to you. I want to be part of that. I want to be part of your team. Obviously, a lot of those fighters haven't got the pedigree to go on and receive a promotional contract. But, for us, it's a situation where we need to make sure that we bring stars through, and to have that credibility of building champions and knowing how to take them from the pro debut, onto the world championship is very important for our credibility.
Nick Ball's on the card this weekend, fighting for the WBC World Featherweight crown, of course, against Ray Vargas in what's a very intriguing fight. When you look at the options for Ray Ford, is that one? Do you expect him to stay at 126?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was Ray was so calm. We were having a debate before the fight about whether to fight Nick Ball or Ray Vargas or move straight to 130. That was before the fight. So it was a really difficult weight cut for Ray.
Okay.
And there's definitely part of him that wants to move to 130, but the value that he has now as a fighter in terms of his purses and stuff like that comes as being a world champion. So we may fly him out here this week to be ringside for Nick Ball against Ray Vargas, which is a fight I love. And I made that fight with George because I think I like Nick Ball, I really do. I know he's not our fighter, but I really do like him as a fighter, and it's a real 50-50 fight. But if Ray Vargas wins, he may end up fighting Figueroa. But if Nick Ball wins, there's a chance that he could unify against Ray Ford, and that would be a tremendous fight.
few other bits I want to talk to you about in the news. One of the most recent ones is the news regarding Dillian Whyte. What's your understanding of that?
Nothing. I mean, I haven't spoken to Dillian Whyte since we received the results, which was back in August. So he's been working away with his team. I don't know too much about it. I know he was cleared by the Texas State Commission. So yeah, big opportunity for him to be back. Really, I don't know how that sits with the British Boxing Board, but you know, he's been missing out on those big opportunities. Obviously, he missed out on the Anthony Joshua fight. Now there's all this heavyweight action in Saudi, so I guess he's going to be looking to press on and become a part of that mix.
And when you look at potentially working with yourself again, is that still an option as well?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, like I said, I haven't spoken to him since the news came, so I'm sure there'll be a conversation in due course.
What did you make of the Amanda Serrano situation?
Weird, really. I mean, I haven't really digested it in full or read about it too much. Something about she had chemicals in her hair that went into her eye.
You ever seen that before? Anything like that?
No, it's a real. I mean, firstly, you know, what sort of chemical does that? And secondly, even when you're in the fight, that's a danger to your opponent. But it sounds like just a freak incident, really, and she'll be devastated. I mean, looked like a great crowd in Puerto Rico. Obviously, DAZN lost their main event, which is a blow to them, but it's a complete freak incident. I don't know what you can do about it. And, you know, I think heartbreaking for her because she would have wanted to perform in front of her crowd.
What did you make of Jake Paul's performance? And where is he at right now on this journey of his?
Listen, Jake Paul's doing a great job because Jake Paul's, everyone's talking about him not being funny. And if you've seen me fight, you'd know how bad I was. I could have beat that geezer. I mean, they've dug him up from somewhere. He hadn't had a fight for what, 8 years? I mean, I don't know. Awful. Absolutely awful. But what Jake does really well is, see, after that fight, after that guy goes down, 99% of people in the world would have been so embarrassed with what they just saw. You would have kind of gone, sorry about that, you know. But he's got so much front. It's unbelievable. Jumps on the turnbuckle, starts going, oh, look at that. I've just demolished another pro fighter. I want Canelo. And he's like, bullshit baffles brains. So I have to admire him for that because the front of that guy is unbelievable. And then to go on the mic and say, Canelo, I'm coming for you. And I wouldn't even be surprised if he got the fight next year or something like that. Honestly, like,
you think Canelo would fight Jake Paul?
I think for a laugh, yeah. Like, no, but if Canelo got a load of money to fight Jake Paul, why not? I mean, do you know how many people would love to see that? I'd love to see that, you know? So Jake's doing a brilliant job, like, and promotionally, look at the event, it was great. But the people he's fighting, Jesus, awful, absolutely awful. And do you know what? He's not even that bad. I mean, I used to say he was average. He's still average, but he's improving. And I think he's not terrible. So he can actually step up the levels and it will help him to develop as a fighter. But what we've seen the last two fights, complete waste of time. Like, if you are actually putting in the work in training and sparring, you should want him to actually see the results properly. Because he could have beat those guys the first time he ever laced the gloves up. And I think he has improved. So I think I would like to see him against just someone that he's actually a boxer. Not just someone that they've found who's had a couple of fights on a farm. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think he's good for boxing. I think he's improving. But I would actually like to see him fight someone with a pulse. And I think it would do him good. You
were, of course, in the States for the Haney-Garcia launch press conferences. What did you make of the energy of Ryan Garcia at the press conferences and I guess subsequently what's followed?
Yeah, I think anyone can tell that, you know, he's definitely not himself. But also we don't know the truth. We're not around him. I'm sure a lot of what he does do is trolling or he's on a bit of a wind-up. But, you know, it's up to the people around him to make those decisions who really do see him. And, you know, Oscar and the team at Golden Boy, Oscar's a former fighter, so he knows what's required to fight at the top level better than anyone else. And not just those guys, that they will always act in the best interest of the fighter, but the family, you know, the team around him. And I don't know, you know, he was definitely not himself. And you just want to make sure, you know, the principal feeling is that he's okay and he's healthy. That's the main priority. But also he's got to be prepared to be ready to fight one of the best fighters in the sport. And the mental aspect of the game is just important as the physical when you're at that level.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
For Canelo Alvarez, you said in the office you'd been back and forth on messages and having a chat with him. The latest from what we've been reading online and from relative journalists is that maybe it's going to be on PBC against Munguia. What do you expect?
Yeah, I mean, it's ongoing, really. I mean, firstly, you hear this stuff, Canelo's parted with PBC. No one says anything. There's no official announcement. It's just rumours on social media. So he had that multi-fight deal with PBC. Obviously, Jaime Munguia is a DAZN fighter. He's got that exclusive deal with Golden Boy, who have an exclusive deal with DAZN. So we're well placed to do that fight. But there's that other deal that we don't know the position of. Whoever's going to pay the most money. Just really ongoing conversations. So we would be available to do that fight. We're ready to go with that fight. But on the other hand, it's 8 weeks away on Saturday. So it needs to be done soon, and we'll see how it plays out.
Last couple now. Conor Benn coming to Saudi this week. Potential for him to fight here?
For sure, yeah. I mean, there's already been discussions there, and there could be a couple of potential opponents flying out as well. So we'll see. But reinstated in the WBA rankings today. And we'll see what happens with the board decision or the appeal decision, because, if and hopefully when he wins that appeal, I would like to see him fight in a stadium in the UK.
Leigh Wood and Josh Warrington. Lots of back and forth about hair, I think. Is the most common thing.
Yeah, I had a good meeting with Josh. He's got 3 or 4 options. Just like all these fights, it's just making it work. It really ain't easy. But, hopefully we can make Wood Warrington. But Josh wants to make a move, and he's got 3 or 4 really interesting choices.
And just finally, we're going to be catching up, I'm sure, throughout the week. But a final message about the knockout chaos that we've got to look forward to.
Just tune in on Friday night. It's a massive card out here in Saudi. It's a huge jeopardy for Anthony Joshua. He looks great. So does Francis Ngannou. I mean, when they weigh in on Friday, you're going to see King Kong against Godzilla. 2 man mountains, and a great night of boxing. Fingers crossed AJ does the business.